Welcome the students of class 8, welcome to our social science history class, and today in this class we are going to discuss the another subunit, that is the Rawlatt Satyagraha, Khilafat agitation and non-cooperation movement led by Mahatma Gandhi. So, let us begin our today's class. So, previous class we have read that how did Gandhiji prepared the ground for a big movement in India with the Khera, Champaran and Ahmedabad Satyagraha. The next move of Gandhiji, it is the Rawlatt Satyagraha. So, before we have to know what is the Rawlatt Act and when it was imposed on Indian people. So, Rawlatt Act that British had just passed, it is the act curbed fundamental rights such as the freedom of expression and strengthened police powers in India. And it was said that police can arrest any person without any cause, and so police can arrest anyone if they found if they thought that this person is guilty or this person is involved in some conspiracy against the British state. So, Mahatma Gandhi, Muhammad Ali Jinnah and other felt that the government had no right to restrict people's basic freedoms, and they criticized the act as devilish and tyrannical. So, Gandhiji asked the Indian people to observe 6th April 1919 as a day of non-violence opposition in this act, and as the day of humiliation and prayer, and marked this day as humiliation and prayer and hartal, strike. So, Satyagraha Sabhas were set up to launch the movement, and the Rawlatt Satyagraha turned out to be the first all Indian struggle against the British government, although it was largely restricted to the cities such as Kolkata or at that time Calcutta and Bombay. In April 1919, there were a number of demonstration, agitation and hartals in the country, and the government used brutal measures to encounter the movement. And what happened in 30th April 1991, and when some people they gathered inside a closed field of Amritsar in Jallianwala Bagh, the name of the place, and they actually celebrating the birthday of some eminent personalities, and on that day the British general Dyer, who appeared in the ground with a huge police force on the day of Baisakhi Purnima, the religious festival of the Sikh people, and violently started firing on the people. So, lot of people they tried to run here and there and tried to escape from the field, but all the gates were closed before this incident. Only one entrance were there. So, all the people and the police, the British police just blocked that road and fired on the common people, on the children, women as well as the elders. So, lot of people died in that brutal massacre, and known in the history, the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. So, after this incident, Rabindranath Tagore, the writer of our national anthem, who expressed the pain and anger and on the country by renouncing his knighthood. He rejected the knighthood that was given by the British crown. So, what is knighthood? That it is an honor granted by the British crown for exceptional personal achievement of public service. So, during the Rawlatt Satyagraha, the participants tried to ensure that Hindus and Muslims are united in the fight against the British rule, and this was also felt. Also, the call of Mahatma Gandhi, who always saw India as a land of all the people who lived in the country. So, Hindus, Muslims and those of other religions. So, he was keen that Hindus and Muslims support each other in any just cause. So, in this way, first time the Rawlatt Satyagraha or the non-cooperation movement established a unity among the all people of India against the British forces. Next, we can see what happened after, that is the Khilafat agitation. What is Khilafat agitation? That after the First World War, you know that the Turkey and the Germany and Austria, they together fought against the allied power of England, France, Russia and later when America. They joined in the allied forces, later USA also joined, and they lost the battle, and as a result the Turkey was they imposed lot of sanctions on Turkey, and the Khilfat, means the Sultan of Turkey was the Khalifa, means the chief religious leader of the Islamic world, was dethroned and the Caliphate was abolished. So, against this decision, all the Muslim of the world, including the Indian Muslims, they started protesting against the British government, and the leaders of Khilafat agitation, Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali, now wish to initiate a full-fledged non-cooperation movement with the help of Gandhiji. So, Gandhiji supported their call and urged the Congress to campaign against Punjab wrongs, the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, and the Khilafat wrong, and demand Swaraj. So, Gandhiji understood that if we took the Muslim support and marched the Khilafat movement with non-cooperation, it will be very strong, and now they demanded Swaraj, and Congress just follow the pathway of Gandhiji and they demanded Swaraj against the misdeeds of the British government. So, the non-cooperation movement gained momentum through 1921 to 22, and thousands of students left government controlled schools and colleges. Many lawyers such as Motilal Nehru, the father of Jawaharlal Nehru, Chittaranjan Das, the mayor of Calcutta, Chakraborty Raja Gopalachari and Asaf Ali gave up their practices. So, people built and they also boycott their legislatures, and people lit public bonfire in foreign clothes, and the imports of foreign cloth fell drastically between 1920 to 1922. But all this was merely the tip of the iceberg. It is not the end. Large parts of the country were on the brink of a formidable revolt. Okay, so in this way, Gandhiji encouraged all people from every nook and corner of the country and inspired them to protest against the British government. Now, the people's initiative, what happened after that? So, in many cases, people resisted British rule non-violently, in others, different classes, groups, interpreting Gandhiji's call in their own manner. Protested in ways that were not in accordance with the ideas. In either case, people linked the movements to local grievances. But all the people of India, they actually not relate with the Khilafat and non-cooperation and Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Obviously, India is a huge country at that time, and it was not easy to encourage the idea of nationalism among the common Indians, mostly poor and illiterate. So, in Khera, Gujarat, Patidar peasants organized non-violent campaigns against the high land revenue demand of the British, and it was also merged with the Khilafat and non-cooperation movement. In coastal Andhra Pradesh and interior Tamil Nadu, liquid shops were picketed by the locals. In Guntur district of Andhra Pradesh, tribals and poor peasants staged a number of forest satyagraha to save their forest rights, sometimes sending their cattle into forest without paying grazing tax. They were protesting because the colonial state had restricted their use of forest resources in various ways. And in many forest villages, peasants proclaimed Swaraj and believed that Gandhi Raj was about to be established and after the British rule. And in Sindh now, it is situated in present day Pakistan, the Muslim traders and peasants were very enthusiastic about the Khilafat call. In Bengal too, the Khilafat Non-Cooperation Alliance gave enormous communal unity and strength to the national movement. The nobles at that time living in the Dhaka, Muslim nobles, they also strongly attended the Khilafat movement. So in Punjab, the Akali agitation of the Sikhs sought to remove corrupt Mahants supported by the British from their Gurudwaras. Mahants means like the priests in Gurudwaras. And in Assam, tea garden laborers shouting Gandhi Maharaj ki Jai demanded a big increase in the wages, and they left the British owned tea plantations amidst declarations that they were following Gandhiji's wish. So, and interestingly, the Assamese Vaishnava songs of the period, the performance of Krishna was substituted by Gandhi Raja, and a famous song that was composed on Krishna, that was replaced the word Krishna as Gandhi Raja. Okay, so in this way we can see that Gandhi was a popular public figure in India at the time, and he turned to be a personality that called People's Mahatma. So people thought that Gandhiji as a kind of Masiha, means the savior, as someone who could help them overcome their misery and poverty, and Gandhiji wished to build class unity, not class conflict. Yet peasants could imagine that it would help them in their fight against the zamindars, and agricultural laborers believed that it would provide them land after the British rule. And at times ordinary people created Gandhiji wish their own achievements. For instance, at the end of powerful movement, peasant of Pratapgarh, UP, Uttar Pradesh, managed to stop illegal eviction of tenants from their agricultural field. But they felt that it was the Gandhiji who had owned the demand for them, and other times using Gandhiji's name, tribals and peasants undertook actions that did not conform to Gandhian ideals. Sometimes the name of the Gandhiji's name, some tribal people also took some violent activities, involved in violent activities against the landowners or the moneylenders or the British authorities. This is not very similar to the Gandhijian idea, because Gandhiji was the worshipper of non-violence. But everything at the time in India, we can see that was occurred in the name of Gandhiji. So Gandhiji became a public figure in this way in India and become a people's Mahatma. People believe that he is an incarnation of God and who is very similar with them, because he also wear a khadi dhoti, which is a small khadi dhoti, and with barefoot, with a stick. Okay. So in this way Gandhiji become a cult in India. Okay students, so that's all from our today's class. So I hope you have understood the subunits. So next day we are going to discuss another movement, that is the civil disobedience movement. So thank you for watching. See you in the next class.